We're live. How's it going, everybody?
Hello, Can Jam community.
All right, so my name is Eric Clavoon,
And I'm John Sandino.
and we're just going to kind of distract you for tonight. We know there's a lot going on right now in the world, but we think this will be kind of fun. We're going to kind of go through the 2019 2020 Buffalo Can Jam League results tonight.
Absolutely. We're excited to go through it and
Which
share
we're
with
a part of
everybody.
as players too, but we're not the greatest with the production aspect. So we're just kind of winging this. There's no script whatsoever. We're just kind of running it through.
Exactly. As Eric said, with everything that's going on right now in the world, if we could even provide a little distraction and some entertainment for all of you out there, we're happy to do it, even if it comes at our expense in being novice broadcasters. So.
Yeah, well, we're just testing this out.
Yeah.
We hope this leads to maybe more in the future that we can do for Can Jam to kind of hype up the game as a sport, get more tournaments out there, that type of thing when everything does settle down and we have sports again. So, but without further ado, we're gonna get started tonight, and we got a lot of stuff to kind of go through today. So we're gonna start. We're just gonna kind of talk about the league that we run and that we participate in, and how it's a little bit different than other leagues.
Yeah, I would say it's unique.
Just a little.
Right out of the gate, I think the biggest thing that's unique about it is 11 weeks, 11 different partners. You will never have the same partner in any given week, so it provides a challenge.
Yeah, it's totally different. It's all random draw. It's all you get a different partner every week, and you don't know who you're going to get. You just show up to league, and you get to play with a different partner. It keeps it fun and interesting, so you don't always have the same team that wins,
Right.
week in and week out. It just makes it fresh, exciting. And this was our 15th season, as you can tell by our shirts. That's the logo for the season. 15 years we've been in this league, and it's unfortunate. We actually had to cancel our league-ending party tonight, which was supposed to be like a results party and a little tournament.
Ironically, it would have been our first ever league-ending
It would have
party,
been, yes.
tournament, food. But still, we're going to have some fun here tonight. Again, like Eric said, go through some season stats, reveal some winners, as well as talk about some other great upcoming Can Jam events in the coming months.
There's our group photo that we took earlier in the season. All our fun Can Jam crowd, if you will. Just want to kind of show that off a little bit.
And I think everyone's in there. Usually someone's hiding in a can, but not
Usually,
tonight.
this is our serious photo. We always take like a funny photo too. That one will be on our website,
Yes, it will.
which we will talk about later. But we do want to get to the week 11 results because
Yeah.
we did not post those anywhere.
And that
But
was
that's our final week of
and-
the season.
And that was intentional. The battle for the top 10 every year is so intense, and we knew if we would have posted them, people might have been able to kind of do the math themselves and figure out where they were in the standings. So we decided, you know what, let's just keep it a secret and unveil everything. So before we do that, we do have to get into week 11, though.
All right, let's do it. So, week 11 results. We're going to start with just a table of the results. I apologize ahead of time. It's a little bit small text to read, but we'll just kind of run through it ourselves. So, the week 11 results, final week. Matt Lafferty and Connor Madison, they were first place at 13-3. They had 6 perfect games. And then myself and Scott were second, very close second, just 1 point back. Also 13-3 with 4 perfect games. Trevor and Josh Greenhour, man, they gave me a battle.
They
in
were
that
tough all
final
night
week.
long.
They were good.
Absolutely.
11-5.
11-5, yep.
Adam and TJ were Heroes of Canton, 9-7.
And Eric just said Heroes of Canton, and what that means is these two have paired up for multiple world championships and classic tournaments. So every once in a while, the luck of the draw does happen where you do get your tournament partner, and it just so happened to be that night for Adam and TJ.
Yeah, and they had 6 perfect games, I believe. It was pretty impressive.
They
It's
were
a
on fire.
Really good night.
They were on fire. Nothing to be surprised by.
So we're going to run through some of the weekly results first, and then we're going to announce the top 10 from the season because we haven't unveiled that yet to anyone. So we're going to kind of run through that now. And for those of you who aren't in the league and you're just kind of joining us to check out some Can Jam stuff, we do have some videos we're going to show later in this broadcast. We have a version of Ultimate Can Jam, which is fun. We have a little bit of a game you can watch in a little bit. And then we also have some tournament updates, including the Classic and the World Championship, among others. and some other awards and fun things.
Yeah,
So
I'm
it should
looking
be
forward
fun.
to it. Yeah.
So let's get right into it.
Yeah.
Let's go to week 1 results. Week 1 was John and Connor, and I gotta say, this photo is just so ridiculous because they have this thing they do where they have to do this like handshake. And,
It is
can
a
you
rather.
please explain that?
I think we just decided one day we're just gentlemen that play can jam, and we came up with that handshake. And it's gotten to the point now where people just dislike it so much that if we get paired up, we say, well, if you don't like it, then beat us.
I hate
Unfortunately,
it so much. I hate it.
we were first place that week, so we were able to
really
display
do.
the handshake. Yeah.
But no, it's cool. So yeah, they went. Let's see if I got the stats here.
I think we went
15 and 1, 3 perfect games. That was first place in week 1. All right, let's go to week 2. Week 2, we got Shane Nelson and Connor Madison. They were first with 13 and 3. They threw 4 perfect games. That was a pretty good night for them.
Yep.
Let's move right along here.
Let's move along to
Week 3, Alex Reinecke and Matt Nelson. What a heck of a night. 15 and 1, 3 perfect games.
And that night, those two gentlemen came one game shy of going 16 and 0. It came down to their 16th and final game of the night before they suffered that first loss.
Yep. All right, what week are we on here?
We're in week 4, buddy.
Oh, yeah, sorry. I'm trying to do buttons and be talent. It's just a lot to do here. So
Literally,
I
the
apologize.
social distancing thing to the extreme. There's like 2 people down here, and it's us.
Yeah,
So,
that's it. 2-man production.
Yeah.
All right, so week 4, we got John Sandino, who's sitting with me, and Matt Nelson. They are number 1, as you can see by the can. They went, let's see, 15 and 1.
Yep, 15 and 1.
3 perfect games, and they were 8 and 1 in overtime.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, moving on to week 5. Week 5 was Eric Lavoon, who's sitting with me, and myself. We went 13 and 3 with 7 perfect games, 4 and 2 in overtime, and we were fresh from a Bills party that night, so we were rocking our Go Bills.
So what year is that shirt? I'm trying to figure it out.
You looking at mine?
Minnesota? I don't know what Super Bowl that was.
That would have been the second Super Bowl, and for Jim Doherty, who's out there watching, he's probably going to laugh at me knowing I bought this off of eBay for $6. But we came from a Bills party. It was a
pretty
good
good
night.
deal.
Yeah, it actually
Not
was.
bad.
I don't know if I would do it now knowing what's going on in the
Well,
world, but this was,
yeah, that's
like
true.
a year or 2 ago I bought it. So, yeah.
Old school Bills. We're making a comeback. Go Bills. Let's do this. All right, week 6.
Week 6.
Week 6. We got. I love this photo. Austin Madison and John Sandino. They went 14 and 2 with 5 perfect games, 7 and 1 in overtime. Pretty impressive. And there's a mystery hand in that photo. Who's got the mystery fist bump?
Do we say or do we let him?
I don't know. Who is it?
Who
no,
is it?
I actually do know who it is. It's Chad Cowell.
It's Chad Cowell. Shout out to Chad Cowell for being the third member of the
Shield.
Of the Shield that night.
Yeah. All right, so we go to week 7. We have myself and Matt Nelson.
You guys
Here,
put
you
up a
can
13,
announce a
yeah. You
couple.
guys put up a great 13 and 3 record that week. 4 perfect games, and I think the thing that stood out the most was your 7 and 1 overtime record that night. And then we move on to week 8, where Bob Greenhour and Austin Madison claimed first place at 14 and 2. You notice a theme: a lot of perfect games for these first place winners. They had 4 perfect games, and they went 5 and 1 in overtime. They also had an instant win, it looks like, that week, and they too were
I
also.
believe Bobo threw it,
Yeah.
if I'm not mistaken.
They too are also representing the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah. Buffalo Bills scarves and all. That was pretty cool. So what we got here? 9?
Week 9.
Week 9. Myself and Alex. That was actually one of my better nights of the season. It was a 14 and 2, 3 perfect games, and 5 and 1 in OT.
Yeah, and that transitions us into the second to last week, which is week 10.
Week 10.
And Scott Silverman and Connor Madison, who had something implanted in his feet that night to grow about 5 feet, it looks like, took first place. These guys were on fire, all seriousness. They finished 15 and 1, 7 perfect games, and in overtime they posted a 5 and 1 record.
Pretty good. Pretty good. So, yeah, that was the weekly results. Those were all 11 weeks. We do 11 weeks of the league. If you play all 11 weeks, that's a total of 176 games of Can Jam that you play over the course of the season, which is...
It's a lot of Can Jam.
That's a lot of Can Jam.
Yeah.
But we love it. That's why we play. All right, so where are we at next? We did our weekly photos.
Yeah, I think we're to the
I think we're ready to announce the top 10.
top 10. Now,
Let's do it.
before we get into the top 10, really quickly, we still have plenty of other great content after this, so please stick with us afterwards. But I know this is what many people have been waiting for. We had a couple tight races, for sure.
Very, yes, absolutely. We're going to start with number 10. And number 10 was Alex Reinecke. This is his third top 10 finish in a row. He threw 10 perfect games. He had 1 instant win, and he also had 2 top finishes, as you previously seen.
Congrats, Alex.
Congrats to Alex.
All right, coming in 9th place in the 2019-2020 Buffalo Can-Jam League. Top 10 was Bob Greenhour. Bob posted 85 wins, which is an impressive mark. He threw 17 perfect games on the season. He had a total of 1 instant win, and he did have 1 top finish. Congratulations, Bob.
Bobo.
Bo.
All right, we are on number 8 is Scott Silverman. Just missed 7th place by 4 points. He was right up there. That was a very close finish. He had 98 wins, 1 top finish, and get this stat, John. He went 28-4 with 11 perfect games in the final 2 weeks of the season. 28-4.
That's a lot of winning.
Yeah, that's a lot of winning. And it's a great way to end the season, too.
Especially in a league this competitive.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Well done, Scott.
Yeah, congrats, Scott. Moving on to number 7, you mentioned Scott just fell shy of that 100-win season, but the next player did not. Matt Lafferty comes in 7th place this year. Matt has just been a revelation, one of the newer members of the league over the last, 3, 4, 5 years, but he has just improved every year. Matt puts up 103 wins for a total of 177 points. Matt just finished 4 points out of the top 5, so that kind of shows you how competitive this was this year. This was Matt's first 100-win season. Awesome to accomplish that. Matt also threw 36 perfect games this year. That is
36.
crazy. That's 4th most
It's
in
funny
league
that
history.
we
right?
talk about all these perfect games, and it's so hard to even throw a perfect game because both players have to be dialed in to do it.
Absolutely.
Of course, granted, if you throw indoors, it's much easier than outside, but even still.
It's easier to throw indoors, sans the conditions, but it's harder to win because you have to be on almost every single throw.
Absolutely.
Everyone's throwing.
But Matt, great season.
Great season.
I mean, if there was such thing as a fantasy Can-Jam league, I would honestly draft him.
Absolutely.
I mean, he's a good player.
And really quickly, Matt also had 1 instant win and 1 top finish this year. Congrats, Matt.
All right. Let's see. That was number 7. Before we get to number 6, we have to kind of go over this one a little bit because it was such a close finish to get into the top 5. All right. So these 2 players both finished with 181 points. They tied in points. Now, the way the league works is if you tie in points, the tiebreaker is usually wins, but that's only if both players played the same number of weeks, which these 2 did not.
They did not. So what that means is we had to look past wins and we had to go to the 3rd tiebreaker, which is head-to-head. And it couldn't have come any closer. Literally could not have come any closer.
It came very close. Head-to-head record against each other over the course of the season is what did it. So I'm going to flash up number 6, and then we'll kind of explain how close that was. Number 6, drum roll. Josh Greenhour. Josh had no losing weeks this season at all. One of only 3 players to do that. He threw 27 perfect games, had an impressive overtime winning percentage of .642, and he tied for the league lead with 2 instant wins, including 1 over-the-top shot in the final week of the season.
Yes, Josh, absolute great season.
And 109 wins. That's his 12th time hitting 100 or more. 12th time.
And I don't know if you mentioned it. We said it came down to head-to-head against each other.
Head-to-head.
These 2 guys played each other 13 times, I think, this season, and it was 7-6, and that's what determined 6th versus 5th.
And
place.
number 5 is Matt Nelson. He won that battle, beating Josh 7 games to 6 over the course of the season, so he gets 5th place. He almost hit 100 wins, even though he missed 2 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, 100 wins is hard to hit in general, and when you miss 2 weeks and still come up just a few shy, I think that's a testament to how great of a Can-Jam player Matt is. And as per tradition...
So here we go. As per tradition, the top 5 players get recognized. They get their own personalized flying disc with their name on it. So that's for Matt Nelson, which we will eventually get to when we get together
these
again.
Restrictions are obviously lifted.
So Matt had back-to-back weeks where he went 30-2. 30-2.
That's
insane. That's not even
mind-boggling.
Like realistic.
Yeah.
And 3 top finishes as well. So congratulations, Matt Nelson. So
Let's roll on to number 4. We're getting down to the nitty-gritty here.
Yep.
All right, in 4th place, he's always a tough competitor with 112 wins on the season and 185 points. Congratulations, Austin Madison. Austin, again, is always a mainstay, I think, in the top 5 here. This is his 3rd time in the top 5 in just 5 total seasons of league. That's absolutely impressive. Austin was dominant, too, in several categories this year. He was tied for... in 2 categories, perfect games with a total of 32. That ranked 4th overall. And he played in the most overtime games this season with 69. Austin had 2 top finishes on the year. And I think, the most important thing to point out with Austin's performance this year is his 112 wins. We look at past years in league, and 112 wins would probably get you first place. Last year, the winner of Can-Jam, Buffalo Can-Jam League, had 110 wins.
110 was the most.
He puts up 112 this year and is in 4th place. So nothing to hang your head on, Austin. This is an amazing finish. It just kind of, again, goes to show you how competitive the league was this year all the way through.
Absolutely. All right, and now we are going to go to 3rd place on the season. 3rd place with 196 points, finished with a record of 123-53. He's actually sitting next to me, Mr. John Sandino. Congratulations, John.
Thank you. Appreciate it. And really quickly, I'm sorry, Austin.
Oh, let's go back to Austin for a second.
I'm going to take a moment of time to...
There we go. There's your
place.
disc.
Yes,
4th place. Well done. All right, so John had 123 wins. He had 32 perfect games. He also had an instant win, which he threw against me. So thank you for that. I appreciate that.
I mean, like I said, we're partners on the out there, but we're competitors too.
You play to win the game. That's the quote, right?
Yeah.
So he broke the record for the most overtime wins in a season with 46. Prior record was 45, which he also held that record as well. But he was number 1 overall in the standings for a majority of the season. He just got passed at the very end. But well done, John Sandino.
Thank you. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
And his winning flying disc, 3rd place.
Appreciate it, and I appreciate all the partners I had this year. Wouldn't be possible, obviously, without all of you. This is a team game.
That is right.
All right, so we thought that the battle for 6th versus 5th place was close. We could honestly say that the battle for 1st and 2nd was even closer. It couldn't get any more close. That's even makes sense. But both of these competitors finished with 211 points on the season. Ultimately, what ends up happening is it goes to a tiebreaker. But unlike earlier where Matt and Josh did not play the same amount of weeks, these next 2 competitors did. So we go to the 2nd tiebreaker, which is overall wins. And that is ultimately what determined 1st from 2nd place. So without further ado, coming in 2nd place this year with 131 wins, totally impressive, is Connor Madison. Congratulations, Connor, on a dominant performance this season.
Well done. Well
yeah,
done.
Absolutely. I mean, where do we start with Connor? He finished 2nd overall in the league for the 3rd time, I think, in the last 3 seasons. His last 3 weeks of league, Connor went 42-6.
Yeah, he had a really good run.
20 perfect games. I mean, that is an amazing run down the stretch.
He made it interesting for sure.
He definitely did, and Connor was no stranger to 1st place finishes this year. He was tied in that category with 4, absolutely. And again, he was 2nd in wins with 131, and 2nd most all-time perfect games in a season with 41. That 2nd is a new record this year.
Yeah, he broke his old record that he had, which stood for a couple seasons, of 38 when he threw 41 this year. So that'll be 2nd most all-time.
Absolutely. He's Connor's also got age on his side. I see many, Can Jam League championships for him in the future.
And maybe tournaments.
Yeah.
We'll see. There's a lot of good teams out there.
Yes,
So.
absolutely. All right. So, with that, it is time to crown our 2019-2020 Season 15 Buffalo Can Jam League champion. And let's not look any further than the individual sitting to my right. Also, proud to say, my partner in Can Jam tournaments, Mr. Eric Clavoon. Congratulations, Eric.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
That was fun.
Grab something here.
The league hammer.
Without touching. There we go.
Yeah, without touching. We're being very careful here. So it's the golden sledgehammer of Can Jam.
It is the golden. And, before we get into some of your accolades, let's give a little bit of a background. Why a sledgehammer, Eric?
Yeah, well, in Can Jam, in case those who don't know, having last up in the game is called having the hammer. So a lot of the major tournaments kind of use that. The Classic, the World Championship has a sledgehammer, and the winners kind of carve their team name onto the handle. Because this league is individual, we just kind of have, I'll just raise it up here so you can see it. We just have plaques on the front and on the side to show who won the league.
Yeah, kind of like a Stanley Cup. I like it.
Yeah, it's like a Stanley Cup of Can Jam.
All right.
This is the mini version. The World Championship one's much bigger, of course.
I appreciate that little tidbit from you, and I know you're a modest gentleman, so you're not going to toot your own horn. So I'm going to do it for
not
you.
really.
You're not getting away with this. Eric, just dominant this year in Can Jam League, like always, right? So he led the league, tied with Connor with 211 points. 135 wins, led this year, and it was one shy of the all-time record of 136 wins in a single season. Winning percentage was off the charts. It's almost a 77 winning percentage this year throughout 11 weeks. Just absolutely crazy. We talked about perfect games a moment ago with Connor. Eric threw 52 perfect games this year, and that is a single season record for Can Jam League. Awesome, Eric. Congratulations. Your overtime winning percentage was just as impressive as your regulation winning percentage, winning 70% of your overtime games. You also were at the top of the weekly standings quite often with 3 first place finishes. And you, I don't know if you knew this or not, but you have not had a losing week in Can Jam League now in 53 weeks.
I think that's a testament to the partners that I've had too, because there's so many great players in the league itself, and I think you mentioned it earlier. Can Jam's still a team game. It is fun to break down the stuff individually, but at the end of the day, you still have to work together with whoever you get paired up with. So.
Absolutely. Congratulations congratulations to everyone in the top 10, and congratulations, speaking of 10, to Eric for winning his 10th overall Can Jam League title.
Normally we would not give ourselves awards, but we're in this weird situation.
We're the only
year.
2 here, so absolutely, we're doing the announcing.
This was supposed to be kind of a get-together party with all the players to kind of celebrate everybody and the results, but given all that's been going on, this is how we have to do it, and we're going to make a fun night out of it.
Somebody else might have been emceeing instead of ourselves. Maybe like Kim Clavoon and Chad Cowell. That would be a pretty interesting duo on the microphone. So.
I could see like an Adam Williams jumping in, or a Scott Silverman.
Evan did a nice job. You'll hear him later too.
You will hear some Evan doing a little play-by-play of Can Jam Ultimate, or Ultimate Can Jam, I should say. Yeah. We'll show some video clips of that from our final league night. Before we get to that, we're just going to shoot up the top 10 table from the season. There's your overall top 10.
Look at those. Look at those perfect games.
I think that's what jumps out the most is the perfect games, because prior to this season, only one player has hit 30, and that was Connor. And now we had, I think, 4 or 5 players?
Five.
Yeah.
Lafferty down there, yeah.
Yeah, 5 players hit that mark. Josh even hit the 27, which used to be one of the older records. So very, very impressive to see all that.
And you know what? Those numbers could even be higher. I recall many games this season where 2 teams went to overtime, both throwing perfect games. But unfortunately, one of them loses that perfect game in overtime, or else you might see those numbers even higher.
Yeah. And there's our league leaders. We kind of talked about some of this already, but just to kind of highlight like the instant wins, for example, Josh and Jacob both had 2 So the number of total instant wins thrown this season was down because we had so many perfect games, but a lot of those instant wins were kind of done when you needed them.
Yeah, I can't recall a season more so than this previous one where they were absolutely needed, and players came through in the clutch and delivered a win for their team.
I had 2 thrown against me. That was fun.
Did you?
Yeah, absolutely. So just to kind of go over some of the records, we talked about some of this already, but just really quick, we're going to talk about the longest game ever in Can-Jam League history. Now, give us a shout. Post a comment. What is the longest Can-Jam game you've ever played, and how many overtime rounds did it go to?
Yep.
Because these games were
They're long.
really long.
And when you hear these, think of it in the context of a Can-Jam game itself. If perfect rounds is 7 rounds, right?
Yep.
And if you start to talk about
4 rounds of
4
throws.
rounds before
7
throws, right?
throws.
7 throws, right? But now you start talking about adding, 5, 6, 7 plus overtime rounds in there. You could be looking at a total of teams playing what amounts to 2.5 games worth of Can-Jam just for one single win.
Yeah, it's pretty insane actually. And prior to this season, we had 2 games that went to 9 overtime rounds. The last one was actually John and Connor versus Adam Williams and Austin.
Yep.
This was a couple seasons ago. It went to 9 overtime rounds. But this season, we actually had 2 games that went longer. I'll do the first one.
Yeah, go for it.
So the first one was 10 overtime rounds. Austin Madison and Josh Greenhour versus Scott Silverman and Connor Madison. The first 9 rounds of that game were all double buckets. Insane. Absolutely
That
incredible.
is, to think that not only did they make it to overtime, but they're throwing just perfect.
That might be one of the greatest Can-Jam games ever played.
Yeah.
It was pretty crazy. And go ahead, take it
Yeah,
away.
absolutely. And not to be outdone was Evan Sardo and Matt Nelson in a game against Matt Weber and Sean Pierce. This broke the 10 overtime mark, and they went 11 overtime rounds. And I think what makes this kind of noteworthy is Matt Weber was a sub this year. He showed up. He played 1 week. It was his first time playing, and he found himself smack dab in the middle of the history book. So congratulations to these 4 players.
And it's funny that you mentioned that because it's actually not the first time it's been done. The all-time instant wins in one single week was done by a sub as well.
Yeah.
He came for 1 week to play, and he threw 4 instant wins out of his total 16 games. So 25% of his games were instant wins.
You know what? And you and I were discussing this, a while back. When you look at that record, 4 instant wins in a single night, think of it. In the sports world, think of one of your favorite sports. For me, aside from Can-Jam, it's hockey, and I kind of relate that to Wayne Gretzky's all-time points record. That's probably never going to be touched, and I don't know if this instant win in one night of 4 is ever going to be touched.
I don't think this record will ever be broken in the history of the league. Of course, crazier things have been done, but and you said hockey. I kind of compare it to baseball. Something like Nolan Ryan's 5,000 plus strikeouts. That's never going to be touched because nobody plays that many games anymore. But this is kind of similar. I mean, no one's going to throw 4 instant wins in one single league night. Maybe Chad.
Maybe Chad.
I mean, Chad
Chad's
always brags
proclaimed
he's going to do
16.
16.
But even if you were to say, I'm going to go into tonight's league and I'm going to just do nothing but throw for an instant win every single game, probably still wouldn't happen. But more importantly, you'd have some explaining to do to your partner that night because they would pretty much be upset with you.
Yeah, you probably don't want to just throw for instant wins. Probably not a good strategy. But a lot of people probably do. I don't know. Yeah. So, speaking of instant wins, the person who has the most instant wins in the history of the league is Dana Meisenheimer, which that we're going to kind of transition into the all-time standings.
All right.
All right. He likes
for you,
to do
Dana.
that. That's for you, Dana. But he has 19 instant wins. 19. So we're going to get into that. So before we flash up the graphic on that, just a couple of milestones coming up. John Sandino is 8 wins shy of 1,000.
Cool.
1,000 wins in Can-Jam League. That's insane.
I will be going for that next season. Then,
Next season,
like. Yeah.
8 wins. Alex is the next up after John. He needs 123. And then TJ needs 133. He's at 867 currently for that mark.
That is impressive, and we're talking 1,000 wins. And believe it or not, we're, we have a player that's rapidly approaching the 2,000 win mark next season. Eric, right here, is only a total of 58 wins shy of 2,000 wins. So
That just means I played a lot of games.
nonetheless, it means though that there's a lot of wins
Yeah.
involved, and I do think that next season between the people that potentially could hit 1,000 and yourself at 2,000, there might be a few less flying discs available because we'll be keeping those as mementos
right.
for some histories.
And then, as I mentioned, Dana's got 19 instant wins, so he needs one more to hit 20. My dad actually has 16. He's second all time. Tim Clavoon, he needs 4, which, that's doable, but
It's
by
doable.
today's standards, it probably would take a couple seasons now.
Sweet butter crumpets.
Sweet buttered crumpets, that's right.
And then another record that is very attainable next year is going to be overtime wins, 500 overtime wins. Eric is a total of 37 shy right now. 37 normally would seem like a high number, but the way the league has been trending the last couple years with the amount of overtime games teams have been playing in, as well as overtime wins, it is very, very attainable.
Right on. And then to achieve the all-time, actually, we'll put it up in a minute here. There we go. So there's our table of all-time players. To be eligible, you have to play 60 weeks of the league to do that. We have a couple players that are on the bubble to join that, and that's Matt Lafferty. He needs 1 more week. Evan Sardo needs 2 more. Brian Schultz, he didn't play this season, but he needs 7 more weeks. We got Austin Madison and Jeff Clemo. They both need 8. And then Kim Miller and Shane Nelson need 11, which is a full season. But as you can see by the overall standings, Matt Nelson has moved up to number 4.
Yeah, and if you're looking at this list, and probably you figured it out by now, but if you haven't, you see people with various weeks played, wins. The way we rank the overall all time is based on winning percentage.
Yeah, it's based on winning percentage because, let's face it, if you played in 2,000 games of Can Jam as opposed to someone who played in 1,000, you would never catch them. So it has to be based on that, and then we just make it a mandatory 60-week minimum, which is almost like 6 full seasons to be eligible for that. So,
Cool.
all right, so we're going to transition into the next segment of our show, which from this season was weekly challenges. They're kind of like Can Jam mini games that we played after league games were completed, and we did these at the end of league play every week.
Yeah, and this was new this year.
It was new. Yeah, it's just something fun that we did. We're getting like teleprompter things going on in the background. No, I'm just kidding. But so we did a couple. We're just gonna we're not gonna run through the whole list, but we do want to kind of do a shout out of some of our favorites. So
yeah, why don't we
go
do this?
ahead,
Why don't we
start.
each pick maybe 2 favorites each, right?
Yeah.
So I'd say one of my favorites was actually right out of the gate, week 1. We probably had maybe the most difficult challenge. When we play Can Jam, the goals are 50 feet apart. But for this, we decided to put the goals 75 feet apart, and we had a deuce competition. A deuce means just hitting the can, throwing it.
Chuck a deuce.
Throwing it direct without assistance from a teammate. And we'd like to congratulate our 75-foot deuce shot winner, Kyle Merrifield. Kyle ended up beating out Shane Nelson in the finals. And I'd say probably the other one that was one of my favorites would have been the team relay race. This was pretty interesting because it was 6-on-6, and the way we set it up was we started with one team member down at the far end, and they had to successfully jam a bucket from each of the other 5 individuals. Once they did, we would rotate, and we'd go back and forth until all 6 members successfully did this. And that winning team that week was Phil, Bobo, Sean Pierce, Kyle, Chad, and myself.
Well
What
done.
were yours, Eric? What were your favorites?
My favorite is definitely the baseball, for sure, is one of my top ones, just because I love baseball. So go Yankees, right? Right, Kyle? Go Yankees. And Adam, Orioles. Too soon. But yeah, so we set up a couple buckets around the gym. There, we had a single, a double, a triple, and a home run. And then we had a group of players in the middle, and they tried to run out to deflect and make plays while we had people defending. Oh, I'm sorry. We had defenders.
We had defenders
run.
in the middle that
That's right.
once the disc was released, you got to run. Now, with all that being said, it was a pretty close battle. I don't remember the final score, but what I do remember is only points were scored on singles. No one converted anything.
Yeah,
besides
that's right.
singles,
Yeah.
So.
So the winning team that week was Evan, Josh, Brad, Kyle, Austin, Mike, Charles, Connor, Madison, and John. So they won the first baseball can jam game that we played.
Yep.
And then my other favorite was the last week, Ultimate Can Jam.
Ooh,
Ultimate
if
Can
only
Jam.
we had a way to show. Some...
I know. If only we had a video to show you. Oh, we do. We do. But before we get into the video, we just want to kind of explain it. So most people know how to play Ultimate Flying Disc. Should I say Frisbee? Yeah, why not? Ultimate Frisbee. Where you just kind of pass the disc down a field. If you drop it, the possession moves over to the other team. You're not allowed to take a step. So if you take a step, then the possession gets passed back to the other team. But in our version, instead of throwing it over an end zone for a touchdown type of deal, we just have a can jam set, and you have a deflector that essentially tips the play.
There's some strategy involved. Do you want to play defense? Do you want to try to send someone down and deflect, which then kind of puts you at a disadvantage in the numbers game when you're trying to transition? So
yeah,
it was
it's
pretty
a lot.
fun.
In all honesty, it kind of feels like basketball because you're moving the ball or the disc down court, and then you're trying to score on a centralized bucket, and there's different points you can score.
I've never been more winded than after.
It was really tiring, but it's a lot of fun, and we're going to show you the video now.
And what we should point out is it's a 7-minute video. We're going to show it to you, but we will be cutting in between, making some comments on there. So
just to kind of keep it fresh. But in case anyone was wondering, why did they use a light powder blue Frisbee?
It wasn't because Adam Williams is a North Carolina fan.
Yeah, it's not for that reason at all, actually. But it's actually an Ultimate Can Jam disc. It's 175 grams as opposed to 168, so it's a little bit heavier. It's got a little bit of a... Actually, let me zoom in here so you can see it. So it's got a little bit of a flex to it. It's a little bit tougher. But it flies pretty good. I thought it was pretty decent.
We don't really play all that often, right? But I can tell you that what you're going to see in the video, TJ Burns is a human highlight reel because he does play Ultimate.
You can tell
you can tell which one TJ is just based upon the way he's releasing and throwing in this video. So
yeah, he got a lot of points. So we played 2 games in that final league night. We're going to show you the second of those 2 games, which is emceed by Evan Sardo. He's got a really good announcer voice. But the sound in that clip is a little off just because the acoustics in our building aren't the greatest. But without further ado, here's some Ultimate Can Jam. Enjoy.
That's a lot. Heads up play back. 4-1. Watch those speed ups. Good movement. Shoot it! Well worked. Well done. How about the smart play? Point. 5-1. So Reno surveys the field. This is well worked by Dart. DJ dangerous from here. And it's a good point. 6-1. Dart team leads. Awesome with the disc. Kyle's got space. Work it. Well done. This is a good ball man. 7-1. Dart team. With time. Good idea. Good defense. Intercepted by TJ. Gotta adjust. Green arrow running point. Doesn't like what he sees. Reset from John. Back on top of TJ. She's with this. Needs to green arrow. Finds TJ. This is going to be points. Foul converts for 3. Removed on the field now. Well done by Kyle. Looking for options. He finds Kaboom. Tries to roll pass. It's a good effort. But here's TJ all along. Goal.
So yeah, so that was a breakaway shot.
I think, you know what, though?
Like-
that was
it's
the
like
only
hockey,
one of the
too.
night because there was a lot of tight defense. That just happened to be a quick strike, and of course, TJ Burns with the beautiful finish there for.
There was
the,
no one there to defend
No,
that at
no.
all. It was just wide open. It's kind of like a breakaway in hockey.
Absolutely.
Just kind of head out.
It was fun, but we're about halfway through the video, so we'll
All
let
right,
you.
back to the game.
Yeah, watch the rest.
Gotta go for the games to win from that range, but. Got Scott. Scott back Kyle. Well worked for the room. Let that slide. Kyle got it. Dunk for 3. 14-4. Lights in the game. Santino to the middle. He's looking for options. He's got John. Well done. Heads up pass by Eric and well finished by Austin. That is a we're calling it 2. No complaints. 16 points for Dark. 7 for Light. Good. Back to Eric. Fight defense by Dark. Eric struggling for options here. Gonna have to get creative. It's well done. Madison with a smart conversion. 16 to 10, good game. Taking a little slot. Smart pass. Very advanced maneuver. Eric finds Austin. Austin advances to Eric. Let me slide it in there. Stop. It's a blind pass. Oh, this is well done. Well worked, Mike. For 3.
That might have been one of the most impressive plays of the night there by
Wow.
Austin Madison. And also,
On
guys,
the run.
we've been monitoring some of the comments coming in too, something we weren't doing earlier. So right at the conclusion of this video, we do know that some of you have been posting some comments. We will follow up with
Oh,
that.
we're reading them.
We're reading some
So,
of them, and we're responding
Stay
to some of them.
tuned.
Stay tuned.
All right. Enjoy.
Taking 30. He did dangerous from here. Almost hits the winner. 2013. Austin with the reset. Eric in midfield. Perfect giveaway. Santino. Eric, good position. Defense tightens up. Also the smart play. Good effort. Point for light, 14. 1 point limited. Cabo, a nice pass to John. Well handled. Playing smartly. And that limited. Good pass, good game. Very well done.
Pretty intense game there that we had at the end of week 11. It was fun, and I think we will incorporate that into future weeks. So one thing that we did mention a little while ago is we've noticed that there's some comments coming in. We're playing a little catch up with them, but we do have some comments, so we want to acknowledge what some of you have been saying, and we might even have a response to some of it. So here we go. So please excuse me for looking down because I'm reading these as they filtered in a little while ago. Yeah, so, we talked about the competitiveness of the league, and someone made a great point. Evan Kelly, he threw one instant win this year. His good friend Charles Rizzo, who's won a couple world championships, 0. So Evan, I think you might be better than Rizzo. Yeah, absolutely.
Ooh, Trevor, you guys are funny.
Trevor, we appreciate it. Yes, Chad, Dingers for Days is our softball team, and I think Austin and I were wearing those. Evan is the man. If Evan's the man, then I think it should be stated, self-proclaimed best-looking Can Jam player ever, Dan Clavoon. So we got to give you a shout-out. What else do we have coming in? Scott, I don't even know where this comes from, but apparently he had the youngest Can Jam partner ever at 7 years of age, but that's cool. Charles, we were lucky you weren't there because you probably would have schooled us. You're much younger and more athletic than all of us, I think. Let's see here. Trevor, again, thanks for the shout out. Adam, we're trying to live up to your expectations. You are the man on the mic, so we're doing what we can with all this.
It's actually impossible.
Yeah, it is impossible. What else do we have going on?
Can't live up to Adam Williams.
Did you guys sanitize everything and you're not 6 feet apart? Actually, we each do have our own hand sanitizer. And literally, we really haven't touched anything. We are not 6 feet apart, but I can tell you this is the first time either of us have been around anyone other than our families in like 2 weeks. So we're willing to risk it for one night only just to bring some entertainment to you guys. Yes, Rizzo, we know you have a few championships, but congratulations on that. And so do you, AJ, if you're out there listening. So guys, keep the comments rolling in. We'll definitely go back to them throughout the night. We want to continue on here, but thank you for commenting. And yes, Kyle, we understand that you are a Rays fan and you booed the Yankees, so we had to make sure that we stated that.
Well, we can all dream, right?
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. They're actually a pretty good team. All right, so we did our Ultimate Can Jam. We did social feed. We want to move into the prizes for our year-end party because we do plan on doing it at some point.
Yeah.
The plan was we're gonna do dinner and we actually have some surprise awards that everyone will get at that party, and we also have prizes.
Yeah.
So we're gonna show you what type of prizes we have in just a second as I'm pulling them up. And there we go. Those are some of the prizes that we have. We have a Buffalo Bills Can Jam set. We have a Sabres Can Jam set. We've already seen the top 5 discs and the trophy and some of the Ultimate Can Jam disc as well. But we actually made up some Can Jam mini sets for season 15. Some special edition Can Jam minis, which we'll show you in a minute too. Let's cut back. All right, so we got there we go, Buffalo Bills and Buffalo Sabres Can Jam sets. Well done, John.
Thanks.
We also got some Can Jam mini sets. Let's get those
These are
out.
pretty cool. Let's,
There we go.
Let's do this
Oh,
here, right?
there
So
we
we
go.
got some Can Jam mini, guys. So, Can Jam
Season
minis,
15.
always fun. It's, you can play it indoors, you can play it outdoors right now if you're with your family and you're isolated and you want to still get some Can Jam. You got the Can Jam fever, not the virus fever.
It's
you can play
something
some
fun to
Can
do.
Jam.
Any
Yeah,
tabletop
absolutely.
type of games.
Hey.
But
No practice, ready?
yeah. Oh, he almost got it in. Nope,
Oh,
missed.
dude, we stink.
World champions.
Boom.
There we go.
And that's an instant win. All right. So
That was awful.
This is the problem with live TV. So,
Yeah, we weren't prepared for that.
No.
But we also have, on top of that, for our little party, we also have these little cool, check this out, little cornhole sets, tabletop, Buffalo Bills, little bags, kind of throw in. So that'll be fun. We have 4 of those to give away.
You know who's really good at cornhole is the Green Hours and Chad. And with that, Josh, yes, you did have an instant win in the last week of the season. Correct.
That's right, over the top shot,
Absolutely.
I believe, right?
I'm just going to keep, as these come in, it wasn't planned, but we're just going to keep reading them. Kyle,
This whole thing
appreciate-
is not scripted, so we're just kind of rolling with the
Yeah.
punches right now. We're trying to entertain everybody because
yeah.
this is a good time. So
Kyle, you are right. The A's are cool. Thank you, brother. Dan, the sets are awesome. Charles just told us to stick to regular size can jam. Ouch. So we will we will do that. And Josh, yes, Cornell, who plays that? All right. So and Kyle, I'm not even going to read what you said. So, anyways, let's move on.
all right, so we're gonna move on to another award that we are gonna give away. After that, we might revisit a couple more social feeds, and then we're gonna move into the tournaments.
Yeah, the upcoming
be
events
fun.
this summer. Yeah.
So let's get into that. So this award is for the Can Jam Player of the Year. It's called the Can Jammer of the Year Award
Yeah, and I
for
think what we should
2019.
19. So what that means, Eric, for those watching out there, is any event that took place last year, including league and tournaments, is part of this award. So the top 10 and the overall standings we just went through for this 2020 season is not included in that, but that will
Correct.
be included in the upcoming 2020
2020.
award, as well as future events this summer and beyond. Yeah.
So yeah, so pretty much the way it works is depending on your placement in any league or tournament, that type of thing, it gives you points. And the more points you get, the better you rank. And at the end of the year, we award this award to the Can Jammer of the Year. And that person is
Congratulations, Connor Madison.
Let's pull it up here. There you go, Connor.
Connor.
So yeah, Connor's got the 2019 Can Jammer of the Year award. So you'll get this award at some point. But he posted a record of 158 and 82.
Yeah.
He came in 4th place in last season's league. But the big one was he won the Can Jam Classic 1st place, and 2019 Can Jam World Championship came in 3rd.
Yeah, and you're wondering, okay, Connor's up here. Where's his brother Austin? We're going to show you the standings in a minute, but the reason there's a difference between Connor and Austin and some other people, yes, while the Madisons played the bulk of their year together as teammates, they have individual statistics when it comes to league.
Yep.
And there are some tournaments throughout the year where there's stipulations you cannot play with your regular Can Jam partner.
Such as a stipulation
Such
jam,
as a stipulation jam. So with that, obviously, the few opportunities that you get to kind of separate from your normal partner, this is what kind of causes a little bit of a gap in points, and this is how Connor ultimately won this year. So congratulations, Connor.
And I don't actually have a graphic for all of that, but just to kind of run through some of the other top 10. I came in 2nd, 510 points. Matt Nelson was 3rd. Austin was 4th. John was tied.
for 4th.
Actually tied. They were tied. They both had 485 points. Charles Rizzo was number 6. Shane Nelson was 7. Alex Reinecke was 8. TJ Burns was number 9. And Kyle Merrifield was number 10. That is your top 10 Can Jammers of the year.
Yeah, absolutely. Congratulations.
All right. All right, so now into the tournaments. Actually, you know what? No, let's hold that. We're kind of just making this up as we go here.
I think Trevor's stuck on the whole like cleanliness and making sure Eric and I are safe. So Trevor, it really means a lot to us that you're concerned about it. Kim is right. She basically said that her house has never been more clean, and there's a container of Clorox wipes hiding under the table, which I did not know. So you may see me sneak them out underneath my coat pocket. No, I'm joking. I won't do that. No, Scott, we are not in Eric's parents' basement. We are in Eric and Kim's basement. Worked out nice, as you all know. Eric and I are neighbors almost. I don't know why Connor's throwing shade at his brother Austin about something, but he is. Oh, yes, and speaking of stipulation jam, shout out to John Sadino, says Kyle Merrifield, for getting that win with me. You're welcome, Kyle, and of course we'll be defending again this upcoming year. And Dan wants to know if Kyle went and put his knee pads on, or he told him to go put his knee pads on. So that's a inside joke. Is Kyle and Kim Miller played on a team together. I think they were called fanny packs and knee pads, and they legitimately wore fanny packs and knee pads during a tournament.
That's
So,
awesome.
Yeah, absolutely.
I have the record for the best looking can jammer. That's Dan Clavoon of Dan Clavoon Industries.
Dan, your face is a can jammer. I knew.
That's right. It is.
Yeah, yeah. We love you, Dan. We love you. Wish you could
That's
be here with
awesome.
us.
I love it. That's great. All right, so yeah, let's go into the tournaments because I know a lot of people are
Yeah.
interested in that,
Yeah.
especially with what's going on in the world and everything. So we had actually made the decision to move the Can Jam Classic to November well before everything that's gone on, just because of it's just easier scheduling wise. There were a couple other conflicts, so the Can Jam Classic will be November 7th.
It will. I'm sorry, I'm laughing at a Dan Clavoon comment.
Oh, another one?
No, and it's probably a good thing that we decided to do this from a logistics standpoint, and like you said, it would have been canceled or postponed anyways now, right?
It
So
would have been canceled anyway. So actually, moving it to November was the right call. Plus, it used to be called the Can Jam Classic or Can Jam Winter Classic.
And now it's kind of
so
going
now
back to that, yeah.
not technically winter, but winter months. So
What I find the most interesting about where it's going to be from now on in November versus April is a lot of the people that would participate in this tournament were coming fresh off a league, so they had a full
Sure.
season of practice. Now,
well, for the local people, we get a lot of
people,
other people
right?
too.
But for those local people that were coming off of league, they don't have that now, right? If it's going to take place in say November-ish or whenever it may be, you have people coming in cold, right?
It's going to be different.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's going to be different. I think, given all that's gone on, I think everyone's going to be looking to jump on some Can Jam action later in the year.
Yeah.
Just to get some normalcy, but I think that's a fun. It's definitely a tough tournament because it's indoors. But the big one, of course, is the Can Jam World Championship, which I'm going to flash up the graphic in case anyone doesn't already know. But this year, it is in Richmond, Virginia. For the first time, it will be in a different state. World Championship will be in Richmond, Virginia on Saturday, August 8th. Saturday, August 8th.
Yeah, that is correct. It's big, exciting times to be able to bring to you a Can Jam tournament kind of this magnitude, and
Yeah, and there's a lot of reasons for the move. I know a lot of people questioned it at first, and
I think all of us, even we kind of were.
yeah, it's not easy. I live 10 minutes away from where we have it now, but so it's going to be a lot farther. But at the same time, it's a state-of-the-art facility. They have a lot of connections to run press releases over there for us and really get the word out and try to pull people from the south and from the north. It's in a centralized location along the East Coast, so I think it's going to make for a great location. In addition, there will be a Friday night meet and greet / open practice, and Saturday night there will be an after party,
Yeah,
which
absolutely.
will be hosted by Can Jam as well.
And I think as we gather over the summer, for those that are local here again, there's groups of people that are talking about maybe getting vehicles, going down together. So we are going to help facilitate communications between people if they want to try to hook up and get rides down there. So.
All right. So, without further ado, I think a lot of you have seen the promo video that we ran for Richmond, just to kind of showcase the area. It is kind of a unique location. They have a lot of breweries in the area. It's just really cool. It's a river town. They have a lot of stuff that's going on downtown as well. So we're gonna show the video, and we'll come back to you in a minute.
Yeah.
So that was the promo for the Can Jam World Championship. And yes, it's a long way off. There's still a lot that can happen between now and then. So as of right now, we do plan on having it. I'm still in talks with the Richmond Region Tourism Group as well as Savage Apparel to try to get some things set up for the tournament. So we're moving along as anticipated. If anything changes, we'll definitely let the community know. But right now, the tournament's on. So
Absolutely.
okay.
So,
All right, so moving on into our closing segment. One idea I actually had, I just thought this was kind of insane because we have the technology and we can actually do it. But given the social distancing and the fact that we don't want to get together, I have seen a lot of people play Can Jam just to kind of pass the time. But unlike any other game out there, and I'll call it out, like spike ball, cornhole, all the other games, you have to be with the other team to play. But with Can Jam, there's no defense. So there's nothing to say you can't set up 2 cameras and FaceTime each other or do a remote game against another team in a different state or another continent. So it's something we might consider looking into to try to have remote games played in the future. I just think it's such a cool idea. Really.
I think it is too. I mean, with the no defense aspect, yeah, you could get the camera set up and you could play at the same time. And
Why not?
It'd be really cool. And I'm sure if we get to that point, it's not a matter of if, when we get to that point, hopefully this summer, we can maybe kind of broadcast that first.
Yeah, I think that'd be kind of cool. I mean, we have the system in place to broadcast that, so I think that'd be kind of fun. And we also have the ability to bring in guests to kind of do interviews and things like that if we do more of these shows in the future, which we'd like to do.
Yeah.
But yeah, so all the league stuff we talked about earlier for Buffalo, we will be posting the results shortly after this broadcast on the website. It's all going to go up, and we'll keep everyone updated on tournament things as we progress along. Like I said, we still plan on moving forward right now. Again, we know things are pretty nuts out there, but we just got to hope for the best and hope everyone can stay healthy. So
Yeah,
that's all you can do.
Yeah, for sure. And with that, Eric and I wanted to thank everyone for joining us here tonight, everyone that's part of the Can Jam community and, hashtag Can Jam fam. If we were
that
able
would've been
to,
a great graphic.
yeah,
Shoot.
if we were able to even provide again a brief distraction from everything that's going on, we're absolutely happy to do that. Again, thank you to our viewers. Thank you to everyone that is involved with Can Jam in any way, shape, or form. Eric, thank you for taking the time to be here tonight. This was fun. And, we talk about family, but a quick shout out to our immediate family, my wife, Laura, your wife, Kim, obviously. Thank you for allowing us to basically be involved with Can Jam year round and do this, for the Can Jam fam. So till the next time, everyone, keep playing Can Jam, peace out, and stay safe and stay healthy.
Yes, absolutely.
All right.
Take care.
Take care. Bye.